Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Washington County's County Services Committee meeting, where we now come to order. On our agenda is a prayer and the pledge, and I would like to lead it this time. If we may, please stand and bow your head in honor and reverence, please. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you that we live in America where we are free to choose, free to believe, and free to live. I ask your blessing upon the Washington County residents for the month of September. May you bring the rains that the farmers and the cattle and the ranchers need. May you bring the prosperity that all the residents need. May you provide for all of us and all of our needs, according to your riches and glory in Christ Jesus. Lord, your word says, humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, and in time he will lift you up. So we as a county humble ourselves before you, and we look forward to when you raise up Washington County for your glory. And we pray in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. You may be seated. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? I have a motion by Justice Dennis and second by Justice Dean. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Let me see. Justice Bruns.
Yes, I would like to make two motions. One, I'd like to remove item 7. Item 7 is the one where there was internal investigation, and it has been deemed, it's my understanding by reading the Attorney General's information, and it's been deemed that I believe that they don't release personnel information, and that's what this is called, is personnel information. And I think by bringing it to this public meeting, we're wrong.
So you didn't make a
I
motion?
make a motion.
Okay.
I'm going to make two motions.
Well, can we handle them one at a time, please?
You betcha.
Okay, make a motion.
My motion is what I said, to remove number 7 from the agenda.
Okay, we have a motion, and I have a second by Justice Pond to remove the discussion of the county's internal investigation into the allegations of misuse of county property at the sheriff's office. All in favor, raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
It also takes a 3/5 vote. It takes a 2/3
Okay.
vote.
All opposed, raise your right hand and say no. 1, 2, 3, 4. It takes
A 2/3 vote.
2/3 vote. So that's 5 out of 15? Go. County Attorney?
So the body's voted to adopt the agenda, so this would be a suspension of the rules. So it would take a 2/3 vote to remove the item. You would have to have 10 votes. I think you had 9.
So
Okay.
that motion fails. Your second motion?
My second motion is that we take number 8 and we put it after number 9, which would be after public comment. I think there's several people here who want to give us public input on this number 8, and I think we owe it to them to hear hear what they had to say about number 8.
After each item, I do believe, and it's an ordinance, there is public comment, and there will be public comment time after each ordinance.
Okay. I
You
didn't
want
think
the
we did
public
that
comment- You want
on
public
committee.
comment time before.
No, want public time after.
So that's what it is.
Okay, so you're sure we've got public time for everybody to speak after we vote on it?
No, before we vote, there's always public comment.
Okay. Before we vote, but in between making motions. Make a motion to accept or reject.
Anytime we have an ordinance, a motion is made, there is a second. Then it's open to discussion. After the body has a discussion on the ordinance or the number that is on the table, before we vote, we open it up to public comment.
Okay, I just want to make sure we vote before we
vote after.
have public comment
That
before
is
we
Robert's
vote.
Rules of Order, and we've always done that way. When it's an ordinance, we have public comment before there is a vote.
Okay,
So then there is no motion?
no motion.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to, I have Justice Lemming.
Can I ask for a roll call on that, because I didn't see everybody's hands on the first one we voted on?
Okay, on number 7, you want a roll call
Yeah,
vote?
show of hands and roll call, or roll call.
Okay, that's fine.
Division of the Assembly.
You want a division of the assembly?
Yeah, I just
Okay.
wanted everybody
A
to,
member of the court has called
everybody to
for.
look out there to see us.
And that's
Okay.
a motion to strike, to clarify.
Yes.
Talking about voting on a motion to strike number 7. Is that correct?
Correct.
But we've already voted on it. And it failed.
I mean, technically, the time to take the division of the assembly is past at this
Yeah,
point.
it's past the time frame. I apologize, but that's Robert's Rules of Order. It has to be done immediately after? Okay. We're just following the rules. Thank you. Okay, now number 4, we have the chairman's report. And the chairman's report aims to provide an overview of our July meeting and our participation and achievements at the Arkansas Association of Counties State Convention. In July, we invited Washington County residents and others for an open discussion on proposed wind farms in Washington County. We also gave an update on the state's passing new regulations on wind farm operations as renewable energy sources across our state. In August, the Association of Counties held its annual convention for all county elected officials, and the AAC Quorum Court hosted a reception for all 75 counties' JPs. This is the first time the Quorum Court Executive Body or Board hosted such an event. Our thanks to JP Tommy Young from Jackson County, the AAC Quorum Court President, for working diligently to bring about this event. I introduced our theme, Share Ideas. My objective was to bring JPs together, share what successes you're experiencing in your county that may be a possible solution to challenges in their counties. My goal was to share Washington County's Community Rebuilding Initiative pilot program. The timing was ideal. The County Lines magazine published an outstanding article written by our own public relations director, Tad Sowers, highlighting the Washington County CRI pilot program. Feedback from fellow JPs was overwhelmingly positive, strengthening our relationships and the realization when we share ideas, we will find that the solution is out there. While we celebrated numerous successes at this convention, we also faced challenges, like building a new state prison. But with each challenge, we have learned valuable lessons. I'd like to thank Justice Washington for helping me set up the reception room. I'd also like to thank Justice Rio Stafford, Justice Lyons, Justice Wilson, and Justice Massengale for representing Washington County and sharing their ideas and insights. Let it be known, we enjoyed each other's company. As we enter a new month, our focus remains on leading Washington County to a bright future. And we will also continue to foster a culture of transparency, collaboration, and good communication. With that, we're moving on to item number 5, that is a juvenile detention report with Director Tinsley. Good afternoon, Director Tinsley. How are you, sir?
I'm great, ma'am. How are you doing tonight?
Well, thank you.
Good evening to the County Service Committee members. Here's the JDC monthly report for August 2025. This report for August 2025 covers 28 days of data. In the month of August, we had 17 intakes, with the average length of stay being 37.11 days. The average daily population was 8.50. The highest number of intakes were battery second felony at 6. Of the 17 intakes from Washington County and Madison County, 13 were from Division 8 and 4 were from Division 3. There were 10 total transports, with 7 transports being performed by the Washington County Juvenile Detention Center and 3 by the Washington County Sheriff's Office. Are there any questions that I may address at this time?
I have J.P. Koger.
Yes, thank you very much. My question would be, and since we didn't have a report last month, since we didn't meet, could you update us on the staffing at the detention center, please, and how that's coming along?
Yes, ma'am. We currently have 2 positions open. We're looking to fill a female position by the beginning or mid of next month, and by the end of October, we should have a male position filled for the overnight, Thursday through Sunday, 9 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Okay, so only 2 positions short?
Correct.
That sounds good.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
We just had a young lady that resigned Monday.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions for Director Tinsley? Thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is item number 6, the Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Cantrell. Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, Madam Chairman. Thank you for asking. Thank you for allowing me to get up and present about our report. We've emailed that out to Mr. Allen, I think, who has forwarded it to you all. So you've got those numbers in front of you. You know, the jail is the big thing going on at the Sheriff's Office, the biggest thing of what we do. Our intakes are up a little bit, in spite of the fact that law enforcement agencies across the county are trying to find alternatives to bringing people to jail. Our numbers are still up a little bit, so we're still not sending near as many to prison as we are getting through the circuit courts. So you can see we've got 172 average daily population waiting to go to prison, and but our pretrial numbers are down, and give kudos to Judge Bryan and Judge Taylor for their hard work and bringing those folks into court and get them before the judge. So, you know, I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody might have regarding our Sheriff's Office report.
I think we really need to realize just what Judge Bryant and Judge Taylor are doing. They're doing an incredible job at pushing all of this through, and we greatly appreciate it. They may not hear it all the time, but may we stop to say thank you, each one of us, to what they're doing to help out with this system. Are there any questions for Sheriff Cantrell? I have Justice Koger.
Thank you very much. Sheriff, I just have my regular questions mostly.
ma'am.
Could you tell me how many were sleeping on the floor last night?
Well, yes, last night there were 153 sleeping on the floor, and, but part of that is inflated because we've lost our 96-bed minimum security building as we go through the process of the construction with the CMP, the COVID mitigation project. So they're over there building a pad in front of it and taking the face off that building to be able to construct the exercise yard and all that attaches to that. So we've lost use of that for the short term, and so that's just going to put more people on the floor because we moved them over to
Okay.
the.
How many females were in the jail
How
today?
many females today?
Uh-huh.
Just one moment, ma'am, and I'll get you that number. Today was 128.
And how many right now have tested positive for COVID?
Have zero COVID, so that number has been zero for the last couple of weeks, but we had close to 150 in some form of quarantine or isolation the middle of August, but we've managed to get all those through quarantine, and they're all healthy now and back in general population.
Okay, and could you talk to us about the staffing, both the detention and the enforcement?
Enforcement is down one person.
Only
So,
one?
yeah, feel
Okay.
good about that. We just hired a new dispatcher that started today, so our dispatch ranks are full, and we've hired 2 jailers, new detention officers today, so we're at 28 short in the jail. So that number's slowly coming down. We did a job fair recently and got several good quality applicants, and those folks are in background right now. So, you know, obviously in law enforcement, it takes a little time to get everybody through the background and do all our due diligence on that. But
Okay.
we've got some in the hopper that we hope we're gonna work out.
Okay,
Able to help
and
us.
what about today, the number of federal prisoners that were in the jail?
Today, 84.
Okay, so when you said that you closed, that you had to close the 96-bed minimum security?
Yes.
Where did everybody go? Just into separate,
Just,
all over?
yeah, all over the existing jail, A pod and B pod. So just find a place we can plug them in where there's not an incompatible. We have to check everybody that goes into that cell to make sure they're not incompatible with somebody that's already in there. Either they've had a fight in the past, or rival gang members, or co-conspirators in a case. So all those things have to be taken into account before we can actually put someone in there.
That must have been a job.
Yeah, it is. It's a job, but we knew it was coming, so we were able to start preparing for it, and so we were able to work those numbers down through attrition, and just by not putting anybody over in the minimum security building to get those numbers down. So whenever we closed it down, we only had to move about 50 people. We'd already worked most of them out.
Do you have an estimate on how long that's going to be before they can move back, or?
No, I don't have an exact estimate, but it'll be 8 or 9 months. But I can tell you that the project's coming along, I think, very well. We had some setbacks early, but it seems to be gaining traction, and they're getting a lot of work done down there.
Okay, thank you for that update. That's all I have.
I do have a question, but more if you could elaborate on this. When you say we have so many prisoners sleeping on the floor, it's not just a hard floor and a blanket and a pillow.
No,
Correct?
that's correct. They're on double mattresses. They end up, our mattresses are about 3 inches thick, so they get 2 mattresses. So they're elevated off the floor. They're not actually on the floor, but they don't have a bunk to sleep in. So most of our housing is barrack style, and so there are double bunks, like bunk beds, much like you'd see in the military, and all those bunks are filled in most of the cell blocks, so we just double up the mattresses, and they find a spot in the corner. Some people would prefer to sleep on the floor than on the top bunk, but that's their choice. They're assigned a bunk, but they
It's usually
sometimes choose to sleep
cooler.
on the floor.
It's
Cooler,
hotter.
or, they just feel safer, I don't know.
But I just wanted you to clarify that
Yes.
they are not on the hard floor.
Right, yeah, they're on 2 mattresses with their blanket and,
Okay, I have Justice Dennis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sheriff, good evening to you. How many, or what would be the answer to not having anyone sleep on the floor? What would,
Well,
what
you
would
know,
we need to do?
the simple answer would be more jail beds, but jail beds are very expensive, so, trying to mitigate those people that are in jail and find different ways for them to either move on, if the state could take the 176 that are here for the state right now, then, 156 on the floor, 176 go to prison, that gives me 20 open beds. So, that's a quick fix, if they could come up with some bed space, but they don't have any bed space either. There's about 2,000 across the state backed up in county jails on any given day.
So it's not just having beds in, it's also having space for those beds. is that
Right, yes.
So what would we need to do on that?
Well, again, the short, easy answer is to add space, add square footage, because, each detainee is by law allotted so many square feet of space in that cell block. So, there's just only so many people we can put in there.
So as a county, when are we going to be in trouble with the state for not providing enough space for the prisoners?
Well, we already get dinged on our yearly jail standards report for not having adequate bed space, but that's just our state jail standards report.
So when do we need to make a decision on more space?
About 7 years ago.
Exactly. Thank you. The one other question would be, what city provides, or what city brings you the most prisoners?
Well, Fayetteville is the number one contributor, and then Springdale after that, and then, it just varies, Farmington and Prairie Grove and Town, they're similar in size, so, they contribute some, and then, you get down to the small communities, Goshen, Greenland, they don't contribute much to the population. But, there's still, 250,000 plus people in Washington County, so that number is growing. Brad could probably, or JP Runs could probably tell us much more accurately than me, 1,000 people a month moving in to this region. We're growing.
One other one, if you'll give it.
Sure.
Allow me. A lot of people come in and they want us to do something about the prisoners that are in there. Do you accept bond money still to get prisoners out?
Yes, yeah. We booked in 962 last month, and 404 of those were released without having to post any kind of bail. Almost all the misdemeanants are released on their own recognizance, and last month 66 felons were released on their own recognizance without having to post bail. So,
Thank you.
But we still accept bail.
Well, thank you for taking as good care of them as you can. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I have Justice Massengale.
Yeah, thank you, Sheriff. I just have a quick question. So you just said that 962 were booked in and then 400 were released without bail?
Correct. Yeah, last month.
And that's because there was no bed space
Well,
available?
just, yeah,
If there was bed space, then they would have,
some of those people might have been held and required to post bail, particularly some of the misdemeanors that have more violent charges, the assaults or domestic batteries, things like that. We would probably hold them for a period of time to see if they could post bail.
okay.
What we know is that if they've got some impetus to keep them in court, to get them to come to court, they're much more likely to show up. If there's no hammer to hold over them, if they don't have a bail or something, they're much more likely to not appear.
Yeah.
That's what we've found.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, on to new business. Item number 7, discussion of the county's internal investigation into allegations of misuse of county properties at the sheriff's office. And I do believe we have Chief Stewart, County Judge, Deacons, and Attorney Baker that will be talking about this. One moment. Justice Bruns, you have your mic on? Do you have a question?
I would like to ask that we stricken this number 7 from the agenda, and I would like to request a recorded vote from verbal vote, please.
I believe that the agenda has already been adopted. And once the agenda is adopted,
It can be taken off.
Chair, I have a question of privilege.
are you finished, sir? You turned it off?
Thank you,
I
Chair.
have Justice Lyons.
Thank you, Chair. So similar to my colleague, based on the Attorney General opinion provided 724, which identifies the investigation into the complaint as an employee evaluation or job performance. Additionally, employee evaluations or job performance records cannot be released to the public via FOIA or any other means unless all the following 4 questions are met. The employee was suspended or terminated. The suspension or termination is administratively final and is therefore incapable of any administrative reversal or modification. The records in question form a basis for a decision to suspend or terminate the employee, and the public has a compelling interest in the disclosure of records in question. We do not meet all 4 of those questions. Therefore, we should not be having this conversation in public, and we must go to executive session to have this conversation.
You said all 4?
All 4 has to be, and we maybe get 1. So we do not satisfy all 4 questions to have this provided to the public.
I'm going to defer to our county attorney. Mr. Lester, if you will. Thank you. No.
So the executive session, you can go into executive session only when you're making or discussing to make a decision as far as employment is concerned. I don't think anything is before this body tonight on whether or not to make an employment decision. I too read that opinion, and under FOIA, there are certain personnel records that are not to be released. I agree. However, you know, basically, I've looked at this and I've thought about it a lot. I mean, we're talking about an investigation, a secondary investigation that's being brought forward tonight that's not part of the internal investigation. Essentially, what reading that opinion the way you do would essentially say that any time any county employee has any issue and a decision by an elected official is made, that this body would never be able to talk about what went on. Is that the position that all of you take? That you have no right to know what goes on in the county? Because this is the first time this body has ever taken that position.
Well, I respectfully disagree. I don't think we're saying we can't see it. I'm saying we can't discuss it in public. Doesn't mean we can't go behind closed doors and discuss it, which we probably should. So yes, we should know, we should discuss it, but not in a public forum, is my interpretation. Not that you shouldn't tell us about it. That is not what I'm saying.
But this body can certainly vote to go into executive session if it chooses. The issue with executive session is only the employee. The problem is this is not no one's asking, there's no ask in front of you to make an employment decision. That's what executive session is. And when that happens, only the elected official and the employee in question may participate in that executive session.
But does this not put us at risk if we discuss this in public of divulging that public information that we shouldn't be divulging to the public?
You're not releasing employment records. So no, I don't believe that this would put you in risk if there was a, you know, if the internal investigation is not shared, that's what the FOIA protects, in my opinion. That's my opinion. You get 100 lawyers to tell you 100 different things.
No, I'm not a lawyer. So,
But ultimately, it's up to this body.
In my, having served as personnel chairman and gone through grievance committee hearings, Justice Pond, you might add something to that. Employment records were not released. We cannot. That was something that it was, these are the facts, this is what happens. The employee is bringing a grievance against the director for being wrongfully fired, and it was the facts on whether or not they were wrongfully terminated, and not anything else on personnel, wages, anything like that. It just catastrophic leaves. We cannot discuss, we don't even have that information available to us in order to discuss it. So I was not given any personnel records.
I understand, and again, respectfully, based on the reading of this whole investigation becomes a personnel record as an employee evaluation or performance report. Now, it may be misinterpreted, I'm not a lawyer, but that's how me as just a common person, no legal background reads it. Again, my understanding of a question of privilege, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it's the chair's decision. It's not a motion. I'll abide by that, but I think that we need to be careful how deep into the information within the investigation we go into due to that opinion.
Are you done, or would you like an answer?
Yeah, I mean, you have the ruling authority, ma'am.
I'm going to listen to Justice Stafford. Justice Stafford.
Thank you, Chair. So I reached out to both Mr. Lester and Ms. Baker about this same question last week because when we, I got at least an email from an employee's attorney, and we got a letter from the Sheriff Jay Cantrell about the same issue. And my understanding, and I think Mr. Lester pretty much hit on all the points that I was going to ask about, but my understanding is that the Attorney General's opinion had to do with a FOIA request that was made of the Sheriff's Department. Well, what was released by the county judge's office was not because of a FOIA request. And so I think there was some indication that that question might be moot because this wasn't released in response to a FOIA request. Would you be able to kind of touch on that?
Yes, the AG's opinion was specific to a FOIA request, and FOIA exempts certain records from release on a FOIA request. This is not a FOIA request, so we're not really talking about the same thing. So I don't disagree with the AG's opinion when it comes to FOIA in the matters that may be released. I'm sure this is not a common thing that happens, so I don't think this is probably, there's a lot of precedent with regard to it, but it's, again, like I said, it's up to the body on what you hear or take up or listen to and what you don't.
Okay, thank you.
I'm ready to follow the county attorney's advice on this.
Thank you. I have next on Justice Pond.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Hold on, your mic's not
You turned yourself off.
Not really. Because you asked me, and I can see, my first thought was because we're discussing an employee situation, we would have in Personnel Committee gone to executive session, I believe. But I do want to bring up, unless I misunderstood, this employee in question, actually, because of this whole issue in question or accusations towards this employee, did not receive a raise this last time around. And if there's anything that ought to be on record that we shouldn't be looking at right now would be the reason why this employee did not receive his annual raise. So I just wanted to bring that to light in case that had anything to do with the legalities. I'm not going to try to argue legalities. Don't have a law degree, but thank you.
Justice Stafford.
Thank you, Chair. I thought we were here to hear about issues with county property and county funds. And I'd like to hear what the county judge and Chief Stewart and Attorney Baker have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Justice Bruns, excuse me.
As I listen to everybody, especially the attorney, it appears to me that there's a lot of indecision on whether we ought to go forward with this, or if it's this body's choice, or whose choice it is with the Attorney General. I would like to make a motion that we table this, and we send a request to the Attorney General simply because the attorney has said this is unprecedented, and ask for their opinion on whether this could be released or not. And that way we have the full amount of questions asked or answered by the Attorney General's office. This indecision stuff is going to get somebody in trouble, and we just need to be able to get the final decision instead of playing around with it.
I think you need to clarify whether you're making a motion to postpone and to when.
I don't know what part you didn't understand. I said at the beginning that I was going to make a motion to table this
To when
item
and to what?
to the next meeting, or soon after as we get the Attorney General's opinion.
That's an improper motion.
So you don't want to do it?
No, yeah, you need to do a motion to postpone.
Okay, I'll do a motion to postpone.
That's why I'm trying to say, there's no confusion. I think
Oh, I
you
think
don't
there's
understand.
a lot of confusion.
No, I think you don't understand the process and the procedures. So what is your motion?
Let's do it to postpone until we hear back from the Attorney General on whether we should be discussing these items at this meeting. If we get their opinion saying there isn't any problem doing this, fine, let's do it.
I have a motion to postpone from Justice Bruns.
Bruns,
Sorry.
let me help you.
I've got Bruns on my mind, so
Yeah.
I apologize, Bruns. That motion dies for lack of second. I have a second by Justice Lyons. I'm going to request that all in favor raise their right hand and say aye. All in favor of postponing this, raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes. This item has been postponed till next month's county services meeting.
I'll say too, for what it's worth, this agony amongst the body of whether or not this is public or not, this is public. My office considers this public. This will be public. This is the public's information.
I have Justice Pond.
I believe the motion to postpone was worded until an Attorney General's opinion is received.
Okay, I heard next month. Okay.
Postponed.
So it was posted, okay. I have a point of order from Justice Koger.
My point of order is, why did we only take the yes votes? I mean, what if someone wanted to abstain and not vote? Shouldn't you have called?
That's what I was trying to do.
Thank you.
We're going to now have all opposed or wishing to abstain, raise your right hand and say no.
I'm not sure we can do it at the same time. We're either voting it or we're abstaining.
Take the no vote.
Take the no votes and I'll take the abstentions after. Okay?
Got it. Thank you.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 noes. Any abstentions? Raise both hands and say, I abstain. So that motion carries until indefinitely. Next on the agenda is item number 8, an ordinance transferring various positions from the sheriff's office to their respective departments in the county. Do I have anybody that's going to speak on this? Is Jessica Bennett available?
Madam Chair, Ms. Bennett had a family emergency that she had to attend to this evening. Considering the motions of the evening so far, we would like the same respect for this ordinance to be considered with the investigation when it's announced. We would like that request, so please.
Do I have a member of this body that would like to? I have Justice Rivera Lopez.
Motion to postpone to be presented with, or do I have to do until decision, or can I say with the item? All right, motion to postpone until the previous item is on the agenda.
I have a motion to postpone until the item number 7 is presented. Do I have a second? I have a second by Justice Lyons. All in favor, raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All opposed? 1, 2, 3. That motion passes. That leads us to public comment. We have 15 minutes set aside for our public comment. Good evening. Please state your name and where you're from, and if you want, who your JP is. It's always good to know. Okay.
Sorry, Nikki Lockett, 12283 Greasy Valley in Prairie Grove, and Justice Ricker is my JP. And I'm here to ask the Quorum Court to consider, or the justices to consider moratorium of wind energy projects in Washington County. I think if the reliance on Act 945 or HR 1, known as the One Big Beautiful Bill, will stop the wind energy from coming to our county is not going to happen because, or else the wind energy companies would not be wanting to do a presentation to the quorum court. Some things to consider: the property taxes that are promised, 80% of that will go to schools and education, 20% to the county. The 80% to schools and education, from what I understand, go to the state and they're reallocated, so not all of those funds would likely go to the local school districts. The wind energy companies repeatedly ask for property tax reductions or tax abatements after they have gotten the approval and done their construction. And from what I understand, tax abatements are at the sole discretion of the county judge without approval needed from the quorum court. If this is being considered, I would ask for a guarantee of the property taxes, not just an estimate of the dollar that they throw out there, and ask for a solid justification of how they came up with those numbers. And maybe ask for a guarantee that they would actually provide those dollars. I would ask who they have contracts with to sell the wind power, generate electricity, data centers, AI, outside of Washington County and possibly outside the state of Arkansas. I hear companies like Microsoft and Google are getting a lot of the wind energy for their AI data centers. Will they guarantee a 100% will be sold to Washington County residents or the state of Arkansas? In moratoriums, Crittenden County and Arkansas recently passed a 6-month moratorium after neighboring crossover wind project and wind started operations. So you have to ask yourself, if the wind energy is that great, why did a neighboring county in a probably poorer part of the state pass a moratorium? Counties so far that have passed in Arkansas moratoriums: Newton, Madison, Boone, Carroll, Crawford, Crittenden. And also decommissioning water that's used to reduce the dust in the cutting and shredding process will contaminate the ground. And then with all the airvac services we have with Mercy, Washington Regional, and Children's, I think it would be wise to probably try to have a conversation with some of them to see what kind of effects these towering power plants would have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lockett. Good evening. Please state your name and your address.
Am I on? Good evening. My name is Rebecca Woodard.
See if you can move it up closer to your...
A little higher there.
Thank you,
Okay.
so that way
Yeah, of
everybody
course.
can hear you. Thank you,
Certainly.
ma'am.
My name is Rebecca Woodard. I live at 11154 North Jackson Highway, right above Lincoln Lake. Justice Lemming is my justice. And sometimes back, I did receive the letter from the wind company wanting to build on my property, and I foolishly threw it away because I didn't think that it would ever go through. But I now know that I was naive. I just want to say that I am adamantly opposed to the installation of industrial wind turbine complexes. Sorry, gotta breathe there. Even if I could ignore just the horrible aesthetic of something that's 600 and 700 feet tall looming over the properties, even if I could be okay with never being able to see a sunrise without a silhouette of this industrial skeleton hanging over me, which sounds dramatic, but you look at them and they are very, very looming. Even if I could be able to shrug off the proven danger to wildlife and the detrimental effect to our domestic animals, even if I could close my ears to the constant sound of humming and the giant blades rotating, even if I could train my nervous system to disregard subsonic vibrations, then I come down to money. My land is my asset, primary asset, and it's proven that it affects our property values. Nobody, I can't imagine anybody wanting to buy and build next to an industrial wind power plant. And don't get me wrong, I am all for landowner rights. I am one. I want to do exactly what I want to do on my property, but I think that if you build or if you allow the industrial complex to be built on a piece of property, the effects are not going to stay within those property boundaries. I mean, just an example would be, as a homeowner, if I want to target practice, I'm responsible to make sure that the bullets are not crossing over the property line and affecting other people. This is a lot more serious. This is, like I say, 600 and 700 feet tall, and it has a lot of really detrimental effect on everybody around them. So I would ask, please consider not giving any conditional use or whatever it is that's going to allow this to be built in our beautiful Northwest Arkansas. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wood. Good evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Mike Landry from District 1, and my JP is Justice Bruins. I recently spoke to this committee about the horrible aesthetics of industrial wind generators. We wouldn't put them above the Grand Canyon or on Pikes Peak. Why would we consider marring the beautiful Ozarks with these? There are other things to consider. We need three things to think about in generating electricity: reliability, low cost, and we want it to be clean. Coal and gas are reliable, but if the wind don't blow, the turbines don't go. Recently, Texas came within minutes of a disastrous power collapse in a winter cold snap. Now, to be fair, wind power was a small percentage of the generating there in Texas, but frozen windmills could not help in the paper-thin margins of demand. And for cost, the Flint Creek plant powers much of northwest Arkansas. It uses coal from Wyoming's Powder River Basin. The May 2025 coal price was $6.60 per megawatt hour of generation. Now, we can use natural gas, but that nearly quadruples the cost. The price of gas in May was $25.45 per megawatt hour. Wind is free, but its cost to convert it to electricity, the cheapest land-based wind generation costs in 2024 were $30 per megawatt hour. That's higher than gas, much higher than coal, and those wind costs could go as high as $61 according to the National Renewable Energy Laboratory. Then there's the environment. Now, we've come a long way from the standpoint of scrubbers and other things to clean our coal generation. And natural gas is very clean. But gas has a public relations problem because people define it as an evil fossil fuel. With wind, the supply chains to build, maintain, and retire and replace these massive machines offset any claims for clean energy. And these monsters gobble up our most precious resource, land. The hideous amounts of acreage required to produce minimal, unreliable, and astronomically expensive electricity do not justify them. Demand for electricity is growing. We need a cheap, reliable supply that respects the beauty of the Ozarks. And with many people currently unable to pay their rent, their insurance, or sometimes even be able to buy enough food, they don't need higher electric bills.
Thank you, Professor Landry. How many minutes do we have left? I've got 6 minutes left. Sheriff Helder, good evening. It's on.
Hi, Lisa, thank you. Now, those are three constituents that have real problems. Thank you all for listening and entertaining them. In my opinion, what we shouldn't be doing is allowing a bully pulpit to air dirty laundry, to try and devastate a truly decent and honorable man, and to tear him apart in public. I think it's ridiculous that this investigation has been done once, twice. They've been told twice by the prosecuting attorney that there are no criminal charges because there are none. But let's go ahead and air this laundry publicly so that we can put whoever we want to do our bidding in the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office is a constitutional office that needs to stand alone and not be placed in that position so that they can do what the county judge wants them to do. Now, file that away. What I would like to address are these four positions. Hey, I'm retired. I may be camping when this comes up again, so I wanted to at least make you aware of what I can recall over the years. So when we talk about building maintenance positions that are in place now, as well as IT, then County Judge Joseph Wood made the recommendation to me that we move those positions over under our budget because it was the the jail budget, that we had the dedicated tax to pay for that in order to reduce his budget. We've got them. They should be there because it's the biggest set of buildings and the most important buildings that we take care of in the county. When we talk about HR, now that is a huge one for the sheriff's office. Please, don't let this be a ping pong match where people are shoved and bounced back and forth to different offices. Our HR division is very important because law enforcement is a unique animal. Then throw in a jail and try and figure that out. We work 24/7. I don't anymore, but law enforcement works 24/7, all holidays, weekends. We have to have an HR person on deck at 6 in the morning, believe it or not. I don't know if you're aware of that. So she can catch people coming off a shift, people going on to shift to meet their needs. That can't happen up here. And they have to have a special set of training and understanding of what law enforcement is to truly conduct the services of HR. Can't happen, was not happening under the judge's leadership before. Hey, the attorney that we got, that was one of the biggest hires that was made during my 18 years tenure. We needed legal representation. Brian, as competent as he is, was overwhelmed. He did not have time to deal with what we did. I sat here at one meeting, and it was shortly after Brian came on and Judge Woods was the judge. But he,
I have a motion to extend Sheriff Helder's time by 10 minutes. Do you need that much, Sheriff?
well, I don't know. I chase rabbits occasionally, but I'll try and be brief, Lisa.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Thank you.
Please continue. What? Yes, and we'll have him 3 minutes. Thank you. That was part of it, or no? Yes. All in favor of allowing the person behind Sheriff Helder to speak for 3 minutes, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The time has been extended.
Hey, Lisa, can you play back the recording? I don't remember where I was.
What?
But anyway, I was in a meeting, and I don't know what the topics were, but there was a fairly new court. And Brian was getting inundated with questions from the court. And finally, he asked for a point of order and asked the judge if he could address the court. And he was given that opportunity. And I'll never forget it. He looked at each member and he said, I want you all to know this. I do not work for you. I work for this man sitting next to me, the county judge. And that resonated so solidly with me that we have in the sheriff's office extremely important issues. We are sued, come on, 750 to 800 inmates sued on a regular basis. Complaints from the outside, whatever they are, just by virtue of our jobs, we have got to have legal representation.
Okay, Sheriff Helder, you need to direct me, the chair, and to speak about another member, an employee is not what public comment
I'm just
time
recalling
is.
an incident, and I'm telling you why. It's okay.
I
I'll move on.
understand that.
It's okay.
No, I understand that, but these are the rules. Wait a minute.
Let's tell the whole truth.
We're, number one, Robert's rules, you're supposed to address the chair.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, I'm good, Madam
please,
Chair. This is
and
to you.
not-
I'm good.
not talk
I'm good.
about
I'm
anything
good.
else but the issue.
If I didn't recollect that right, I apologize.
Thank you.
But all I'm
Let's just
saying
move
is,
forward.
it began a thought process that our attorney had too much on his plate. That's all I'm saying. I'm not belittling Brian. He's very capable. That's not what I'm saying, okay? It just became very much reality that we needed to move in that direction, that the size that we were with the number of lawsuits, that we needed direct representation, and we needed somebody that could then focus on law enforcement and what it is we do, and how do you run a jail? Why do you run a jail? Why are these rules in place? What rules do we need to put in? Okay, so I'm trying to cover all four of the slots that you all are going to be talking about in the future if it goes through, that they are quite necessary to be where they're at. They are an integral part of the running of the sheriff's office and to continue to make you proud of a sheriff's office that we have. So I apologize if I rambled on. I'm not in any way meaning to offend your attorney. I think he's a great guy and very smart. But we needed something more. So whenever it comes up, please remember what I said, because I may not be able to be here. I will be here if I can. But those positions need to remain where they're at. They are serving the citizens of Washington County right where they need to be and in a fantastic manner. And they're serving a sheriff who is phenomenal. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff Helder. Good evening, sir. Would you state your name and who your JP is?
Vladimir Lopez, 2805 East Edmond Avenue, Springdale, Arkansas. My JP is myself. I have two things. I will get the one that is going to be a little more tenuous out of the way. I think that we should remember that as this body, we are the legislative body of this county. And part of the legislative powers is the power of the purse. It is our obligation to answer where and when funds are spent. And I feel as though that was the nature of what was proposed on the agenda today. It was about answering for funds and how funds were spent. And I feel as though we failed to do our obligation today. And that does not make me happy. I don't think it makes the people behind me happy. And then on a more positive note, I'll leave that. We're going to address that later. That's fine. But on a more positive note, last month, Washington County was part of a really cool bit of history that we did not get to recognize. But the Marshall Islands was the last UN recognized country to have a soccer team recognized by FIFA. And last month, they played their first game, and that was within Washington County, and we were a part of a really cool bit of history, and I feel like we should have celebrated that. We didn't get the chance to last time, but I think a delayed clap is better than no clap, and that's pretty cool. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, this meeting is adjourned.